putting the wraps on. Okay, and what you'll need to do that with is a mouse pad. I'm going to set these up here real quick, keep them out of the dust and dirt. Just get a regular mouse pad, you know, just one that's got a nice grippy side and a nice smooth side on the other side, you know, just your standard mouse pad. We're going to put that down. Now what I'm using on these is a 4-inch wrap. I was doing the roll of arrow wrap, and these work really well, but they stretch and you don't quite get the nice corners that you will with a ordered wrap. So we're going to go with the ordered wraps. We got 12 altogether. We're only going to need 6, so we'll just need 2 of these sheets here. And what I do is I'll just peel one edge of this off and just basically hook my finger, get my finger sticky, just barely pull on it. Okay, and once it's going to have some static electricity, but then you just take and get that to lay down on your mouse pad. Okay. Then I'm going to take one of the arrow shafts and make sure you got all your arrows running the same direction. You don't want to accidentally, I mean, it's not going to matter really at this point because they're already cut, but there again, if you want everything to match, you're going to have to do it all from the same side. So saw's in the way. I'm going to move this back here, and while I do, let me zoom you in here. Get you turned here. Get you zoomed in here. Okay. Hopefully you can see this. So we're going to take this shaft and I'm going to line it up with the end of that wrap, and I'm just going to pull it into it until the whole shaft is touching all along the edge of this. Okay, and then I'm going to just take and roll it, medium pressure, and just roll it into it. Okay, now I dropped that one down a little bit, but that's going to be all right. And there you can see you have a perfectly wrapped shaft. Okay, it's pretty hard to see that seam, and you really don't want to be able to see that seam. And these are 1 inch wide, so they come out perfect with the size shafts that I'm using. You're gonna have to check that with your specs on your shafts and your wraps, and make sure you get the right wraps, because there are different size wraps out there that will be too big for particular shafts or too small for other shafts. So you really got to pay attention to what you're using. So there again, I'm just taking this shaft and I'm just lining it up with the edge. My eyes are terrible in this light. I'm going to line it up the best I can and just bring it in until they all touch along that whole edge. And then just gently pull it. Okay? Pull it across, roll it across. That's all there is to this. Very simple process. Now there are other ways of doing this. You know, there's you can actually get some of these that are pre-built with wraps, fletchings, and all that. I know a lot of the major companies make them. Quick fletches is what, or yeah, quick flights is what they call them basically, and they just shrink. They're like a shrink tube that just shrinks onto your shafts. I've tried those in the past when they first came out, and I wasn't real impressed with them because sometimes you would get air bubbles in there, or you would get wrinkles where it wouldn't just, if your water temperature wasn't right or it was too hot, then they would shrink too much, and then you get gaps and stuff. So I just got away from those, but you know, maybe that was 10 years ago. So I'm sure they've come a long way since then. So I'm not going to give them a bad rap, but I haven't used them in years. So I just stick with the regular old fletching or the old wraps, and do my own flights too. So I really like these wraps. These are, whoever printed these up, they're nice. I'm not sure how they're going to react with my glue. That's the other thing that that's probably the most frustrating part of wraps, is some wraps, the surface of them. Like I got some a month or so ago that were just so, I don't know, they were so thick and they were shiny. And these have quite a sheen on them too, so I'm kind of hoping that they're not going to be the same problem that I had before. But my glue just did not want to stick to them. I was losing flights left and right with it, and I'm hoping that's not going to be the case this time. But something else to keep in mind, you know, there's some out there that don't have the gloss on them, and they're just a matte finish. There's different thicknesses to them, so you're just gonna have to I'm still in the trial process of this with wraps and stuff. I've never used wraps a lot, and I kind of got away from it just for the reason that I was having a heck of a time keeping it all together when I was doing it quite a while back. But I just, now that I'm a little more in tune with the aero building process, I'm hopefully going to learn a lot more off of this than I did in the past. So we have our wraps on. Now the next process can be controversial. You know, back when there wasn't really mechanicals around, it was all pretty much fixed blades. A lot of guys would try to, with good reasoning, match their flight with the blades on their broadheads. Okay. So if you've got, this is a 4-blade, but if you had a 3-blade, the idea was to line your flight up with the blade of your broadhead, so everything was rotating together. They weren't fighting each other. If you had a flight in between your blades, then it would have a tendency after a while to counteract each other and give you some weird flight downrange, which they do with some broadheads. And I'm not going to get into the politics of that, but so that was the reasoning for lining up your flights with your blades on your broadhead. And the way you do that is you will put your inserts in with the glue, with the broadhead in it, and after you have your flights put on, okay, you would basically put your broadhead or a practice head on there, glue it, and then slide it in and line it up with your feathers. Okay, so you had perfect alignment with your feathers and your broadhead blades. Okay, well, when you shoot a mechanical, you don't have to worry about that. And a lot of the new fixed blades in today are so engineered that that is not an issue anymore. But some of the older style broadheads really used to counteract each other in flight if you didn't have them lined up. It helped. But like I said, I'm not worrying about it, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is put my flights on. Because these 100 grain inserts are going to want to like pull on that this end, you know, and it might have a tendency to kind of pull it out of the jig when I'm putting on my flights. So let me get everything ready here, and I'll be right back with you for that. Okay, we're about ready to get started putting flights on here. This is a boning blazer vane jig, and my other jig that I have, there's a lot of options out there on the market, but this is the newest model for the small blazer vanes. Okay, and this is the old style. It was a clamp. You put your vane in there and you clamp it and put it on your shaft. And in its day, that worked really well. But I couldn't do a four fletch with that, and I'm going to give some kudos to Boning Archery. And the reason for that is because when I went to purchase the four fletch accessories, okay, it's just basically a piece of plastic like this one that fits inside of the barrel here and gives you your four fletch pattern. Okay, and when I called Boning, I asked the lady, and I don't know if she was new or not, or just didn't understand what I was trying to tell her about my other jig, but she assured me that it would work with my old style jig, and it does not. So I called them back after I had received those, because those little pieces of plastic were about 20 bucks. And I just didn't want to like say, well, it's not going to work too bad. But so I called Boning and told the lady that was helping me, I said, you know, I ordered this four fletch accessory jig, and the lady that helped me the first time told me that it would work, and it's not working. It won't fit. And without hesitation, she said, well, I will just send you a jig that will work. So, long story short, they sent me basically this is a $50, $60 jig in a store. Okay? They just literally sent me the jig free of charge because I ordered that accessory and it didn't fit what I was told it would fit. So they went ahead and hooked me up with a brand new one, and I have to give them kudos for that. That is great guest service. So Boning Archery, from my experience, takes care of their customers. So with that said, we'll get started.